You're watching Single Process with Joe and Bob. We created this video series to help you navigate the difficult process of divorce, and we hope this helps you on your journey. Our episode today is on getting organized.
Yes. So you've already done this post-divorce, but I'm still nesting, so we haven't split up our stuff yet.
All your stuff, and it takes a lot of organization.
Yeah.
But even post-divorce, trying to get the kids organized and packed up to move between homes, not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's unsettling. So I've solicited Jen Burke. Jen Burke is a professional organizer who founded JKB Organizing, and she's literally helped thousands of families over the 10 years that she's been doing this. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Jen.
Thank you.
So the first one that worries me probably the most is like the legal documents, like passports and financial
Birth certificates.
Birth certificates, because there's only one set of that stuff. So how do you break it up?
Exactly. Especially when there are kids involved.
Yeah.
People get very, very possessive about, well, who's going to have the passports for the children? Who's going to, have their birth certificates and all of that.
Yes.
So what I recommend for all couples is that they get together all of their most important documents. So that's passports, social security cards, legal, whatever it may be, and put it in a safe deposit box at the bank.
Okay.
And the way you do that is you have an officer at the bank who signs off on the contents of the box. So there's an actual photograph taken of the items. So the photo's there, you all three sign the document. So if at any time anything's missing from the box, you can go back to the original document.
So let's move a little further into the process and get to where Bob is at, where you're trying to split things up and break the household. How do you do that in an organized way?
I know. Are you going to be fighting over everything?
You know what? It's not as hard as it sounds, and it's so daunting. I mean, the idea of divorce in general is so daunting, and then you think of breaking up everything you've owned for your entire life, and that's really overwhelming to people. But when you really dive in, it's not as difficult as it seems. So what I think you can do is write down your top 10, 20 things in the house that you must have. Okay? Simple. On a sheet of paper, what are the items that you just can't live without? And you'd be really surprised to see how many do not overlap.
Really?
On these lists. I swear.
I believe you, but...
And if one or two does, then you can negotiate those one or two things. Like, okay, you take the one and I'll take the other.
It's like breaking it down into manageable pieces, which I love.
Exactly.
Okay, the list drives it, okay?
Exactly. And then whatever is left over, you can decide what to do with. Maybe you want to have an estate sale. So you want to get a professional in who can help you with that and sell the remainder.
Because there's so much clutter you've accumulated over, even if you weren't getting divorced.
Spring clean.
Totally. And maybe get some cash, some money back. Yeah.
Exactly. So you recoup some money, and it's also a great time to declutter your house, like you said.
Okay.
I mean, think of all the possessions we've had over the course of our lifetime, and now you're kind of forced into making these decisions to get rid of things.
How do you keep a list? This is what I find. I'm looking to make something, make a cocktail. I don't have a shaker anymore. I'm looking for that great water pitcher I have. It's disappeared. How do you get on top of that so I'm not running to the store every 5 seconds post splitting up on things?
Well, it's pretty easy. And I'm a total believer in that you buy duplicates of certain things. So there are certain things in everyone's kitchen and everyone's home that should be in both houses.
Okay.
So invest in that. It may seem like a waste of money up front, but when you invest in those duplicate items and you have them at each home, then you're not scrambling looking for things.
As you're dividing things up.
That's exactly right.
Giving away.
And I said to Jen, like, shouldn't I get a pod to start splitting things up? And you said, no, just designate, like, the living room becomes my room.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You just have 2 rooms in the house. One could be a garage, the other could be the living room, dining room, and you just have a designated area where you start accumulating your possessions.
Okay.
Same as your spouse. So your spouse sees what you're collecting, you see what he's collecting, and you just keep adding things as you come across them to your room.
And what do you do about kids' artwork, kids' report cards? Who gets that stuff?
Such an emotional issue.
Yeah,
it is.
That's right, it is.
It is. So when kids are involved, it becomes much more difficult because, the parents become very possessive, obviously, of the children. So who gets the artwork? Who gets the report cards? Who gets all of the, memorabilia that they've accumulated? And I always say to my clients, let the kids' things become theirs. It doesn't necessarily need to be the mother's or the father's. It's their belongings.
So Susie gets a box with Susie's
That's
report
right.
cards and Susie's
That's
artwork.
right. So in 10 years' time, it's Susie's box. It's not your box.
That's smart.
I think that's photographs, everything. You
This
know.
one makes me so nervous. So because everything's digital now, so I've got all
Right.
these. Okay.
Everything is digital now, but way back when, we had actual photographs.
Okay.
And so families have a hard time breaking them up as well because you have photo albums, you have stacks of pictures. It's not as hard as you think. I always say it's the quality versus the quantity. Okay? So if you have 50 pictures that you absolutely love and treasure of each person in your family, it's enough. And then you look at all the digital photos that we have, and
You can repeat all
you
this.
Got
can.
more than enough.
You can. And I always say divide by person in the home.
And
Don't
something-
divide by year that you did all these things. Just divide by the individual.
Okay.
And something else you mentioned, Jen, in our pre-interview was to make sure that some of the pictures of your ex-spouse come with you and are represented in your home so that the kids still feel like
And you
family.
haven't defaced those pictures.
Exactly. This is exactly.
Wait, why is that so important?
This is so critical, and I think most people overlook this because they're in the throes of divorce, which is so overwhelming. A lot of times one spouse hates the other and vice versa. You don't want your wedding album, you don't want pictures of his family, you can't stand one another. Why do you want to save the pictures? But you really have to. You have to save them to protect the family that once was. And that's what children are looking for.
Yeah.
They want to go back to and remember when we were a family. So I always say in both homes, you should have pictures of both families represented. Up on the wall, out on the shelves.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have occurred to me, honestly. It's like, it's my new home, so I'm only going to have pictures of me with the kids.
Of course, but your children would really respect the fact that there are pictures of all of you. You're still a family,
I think
whether
that's
you're
terrific.
divorced or not.
So segue into that. The
Yes,
post,
segue into post-divorce,
two households.
keeping kids organized, moving between homes, letting them know what the schedule is. It's difficult.
It is, and you can use an online calendar. There's so many versions of it. I mean, you can do, a Google Calendar.
My Family Wizard is another one where you can all coordinate online.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll put this on the website. Yeah.
Right. So the adults can coordinate, but the kids can also coordinate onto the calendar.
Yeah.
So there's no question about who's going to be where and what's on the calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And I know you love
that's a great-
Dropbox. Why do you love
Love
Dropbox?
Dropbox.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dropbox is a repository for anything that you want both parties to look at. It could be photos, it could be documents, it could be a letter that's sentimental, it could be report cards, it could be anything. You can snap a picture, you can upload emails to it, you can upload text to it, and then it's all in one place.
And you can share
So
the
both
information.
parties can get into Dropbox anytime that they want
What
with the
about
password.
packing
So
lists?
you share.
Packing lists for kids moving backwards and forth.
Yeah.
I found that such a difficult thing for them to not be calling up, Saturday morning, hey mom, I left X behind.
And you don't want your
Exactly.
kids coming. I mean, you might have a date or something going on. You
Don't want them
the kids-
walking in.
I mean, there are other things that could be happening too, but you don't want the kids coming back and forth all the time.
No, you don't. And I say duplicate certain things in each home. Toiletries, for example. Don't carry your toothbrush and your deodorant from one house to the other.
Okay.
Have a whole set in one house and have a whole set in
Doesn't
the
that
other.
get expensive though, to have
No.
duplicates?
You would think that it does because you're just buying duplicates of what you already have.
Yeah.
But in time, you're going to end up buying those things anyway.
True.
Again.
Using them.
True, and you're using it probably
And-
half the rate. You're
and using them. But
Okay.
it also helps reduce stress for the child.
Yeah.
So every time they're moving back and forth, they don't have to go, oh my gosh, where's my toothbrush? Where's my makeup? Where's my,
Yeah.
it just is so much more productive that
Her
way.
kids, I love what Julia does. Your daughter labels her clothes mom,
She
dad.
does. My kids spend 50-50 time with us, and they want to make sure, particularly my fashion-conscious daughter, that she has things that she wants to wear at both homes. So she labeled everything and then takes things as soon as there's an imbalance or moves things between the homes.
Smart.
Exactly. And if there's certain things that you do want to make sure you move back
Yeah.
to one of the homes, just write it on a list. I mean, there's so many ways you can coordinate that.
Yeah.
But that's important.
You told me a story we were talking about offline about a woman who actually got duplicate comforters in both homes. Tell that story.
Exactly. And again, this is about the kids. This is making the kids feel comfortable in a very uncomfortable time in their life. So if you can bring some of those comforts of home to both homes, Why not? So it can be the comforter, it can be the things in the bathroom that they love. Why not buy 2 of the exact same thing for each house?
I love it.
Then they feel like they're not really in a rental in one house and they're in their real home in the
That's
other.
true.
I think that's really
you don't want them to feel like they're being displaced.
Yeah.
And that they're, in a temporary home. You want them both to feel permanent.
Smart.
I think there's so much to be said for investing a little time and money in a personal organizer just to help you get on top of these things.
I was worried we wouldn't be organized in our questions, but I think it worked out okay.
Did we get an A plus?
You got an A plus. But you're right. Even if you don't hire an organizer to help you through the entire process, hire an organizer to lay it out for you on a piece of paper, the steps that you need to take.
That's a good idea.
To help divide, the quantities of a house.
Maybe we'll put some of this on the website too.
Yeah.
Anything you feel like sharing.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
For more information on how to organize pre and post divorce, please log on to our website at singleprocess.me.